What's going on? I'm almost there. 3, 2, 1. Come on, camera. Hey there, hi there, ho there. What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Madman KC, good to see you in the chat, sir. Megan Trainer's all about that brace, Very funny. It was very prophetic in this year, which will be called Snake Bit. I'd like to call it the intermission year. This is your chance, AFC. This is your time right now. You get 3 regular season weeks and 1 playoffs. That's it. Happened to the best before. It's happened to the best now. 9th season. 3 Super Bowl wins in. ACL tear happened to Tom. Now it's happened to Patrick. And everyone wants to make that comparison. I get it because they're both great. They're both arguably the GOAT. Patrick's still chasing Tom, but Tom's sitting on that spot right now. If you're not one of the old hard dude truists like Lawrence Taylor, who, still believes it's Joe because Joe Montana never lost a Super Bowl. And he played when people were literally trying to take your head off. So there's an argument there as well. But right now, most people would give that to Tom. And since everyone compares Patrick to Tom, that's the quick, easy analogy. Now, let's take a look at what happened to Patrick. And let's take a look at what happened to Tom. And let's take a look at Tom's comeback. And then I'll tell you who I think he compares more directly to. And then I'll bring up another individual who I just discovered tonight I'd forgotten about in my search and my thoughts and my quest. I had a question. And then asking the question to the internet, the answer I got was, no, this has never been done before. So it's another thing that belongs. Hey, Patrick Mahomes, if you're out there listening, put this on the bulletin board, my friend. I know it's nowhere you ever wanted to be, but now it's a thing that you can achieve that no one's ever done. I think that'd be awesome. Frog's back. How you doing, Frog? Good to see you. Trust me, I'm going to bring some of the stuff I brought up the other night, but I got some new stuff for you too. So with no further ado, let's go to the review screen. And we'll first of all take a look at the knee, the leg. Okay, here's your knee. Here's your typical human knee. Here's your patella, aka your kneecap. And I talked about my injury the other day, my ACL tear, and how I was treated with an allograft, which is a removal of part of this bone, part of your tibia, and the central piece of the patella, the strongest central piece of the patella, which is connected to bone on both ends. It's adhered to it. You can't stitch it on there. Move Creed to left guard next season. Creed playing guard in college can find a starting center in an FA draft. I don't know if that's going to happen. Creed's the best center in the NFL. We can find a guard in the draft as well. I think King's doing great there. I think Taylor, you're getting me off topic, but I want to address it. I think Taylor moves off. Fireveach, no, let's not do that. I think Taylor moves off, and I'll calm you down and talk you down off your ledge on the beach. I think Taylor moves off to the horizon to somebody else next year. Just too many penalties. It's just too many. It gets unsurmountable after a while. So when I tore my ACL, which is this little ligament right here, this one right here, it helps keep you from going, if this is your knee, from going this way and crushing your patella or ripping your ligaments on the outside. It keeps you from hyperextending, basically, which is what Patrick did. From this angle, you see it right here. This is with the knee back. You can see the ACL is flexed a little bit. So the ACL would basically be like this, attached to both bones, like that. Okay? And the only way they can get it to be bone on bone is by cutting a piece of bone here with the patella attached to it, a strip of the patella, and a piece of this bone here where it's adhered to it already. So they basically would cut like right there. They'd cut right here, and then cut the bone, the patella right in between it. Then they drill a hole, a little cave in the front of this bone. They get a bone drill. I felt the vibrations in my leg for a good year and a half after. I'd wake up some nights, I'd feel like my leg had been vibrating. Your bone doesn't, it kind of has memory. It doesn't forget that. It's pretty traumatic for the bone. But they drill a cave with a hole right here, and it comes out right here, a tunnel rather. And then they drill a cave in this part of your leg, in your femur, right there, and go up inside. And what they do is they slide that through, and now the bone here is too big to go all the way through the little hole up here. So it gets in here, it gets kind of stuck. Then they screw it in on the inside of this leg, on the inside of this bone, your tibia. Then the other piece of bone, they slide it up in here till it's full extended, and then you screw that in. And then they come through the side of your leg with pins, and they pin it in as well to tighten it up. Then all the bone heals and coagulates and just basically solidifies around your patella, the patella rather, which becomes your new ACL. And it's the best way to do it. And I'm glad I ended up having to wait, which sucked, but I had to wait a long time, so I don't have the big long scar in the front of my leg. I just have a little hole, little pinhole here, and a couple little holes on the side. You can barely even see the marks anymore. But that's the best way to do it. And it's allograft, so it's not my own stuff being ripped from another part of my body. You have to take some meds for a little while so you don't reject it, but then once it's good to go, you're fine. Now, Patrick tore that, but he also tore this right here, the lateral collateral ligament, right here on the side. That's on the outside of the knee. He had been getting treatment on that leg for a minute. This is the right leg. So on the other leg, just imagine this is flipped. If it was left leg, it'd be over here. It's not this long because that's your PCL, or your MCL rather. Your PCL is this little one in the back. We'll talk about that in a minute too. Now, Patrick tore his ACL and his LCL, but he didn't damage the meniscus, which is the cartilage, which can be tricky. He didn't damage that, according to reports. And he got it fixed. When did he get it fixed? Underwent surgery for torn ACL and LCL in his left knee on Monday, December 15th, after tearing it in the evening of Sunday, December 14th. So he's getting right after it. Recovery time is expected to be around 9 months, which would be ready for opening week. That's not just getting up and walking around. That's like ready to go. 9 months. He had it done by Daniel Cooper. People talked about that. Why Cowboys? Blah, blah. Because he's the LCL doctor. The NFL, around the NFL, they call him the LCL doctor. They know him for that. Now, on the Tom Brady side of things, Tom tore the ACL and the MCL. Going back to our graphic, here's your ACL right here. And this big long one here is the MCL. Okay? And that takes a minute. That's rough. So Tom tore it in the first game of 2008. That was against us. Bernard Pollard got blocked into him, hit him low, but got blocked into him, hit him in the knee, tore the knee. He missed the entire 2008 season, came back against the Bills in 2009. Opening weekend. Threw for 4,398 yards, 28 touchdowns. Played all 16 games. Named AP Comeback Player of the Year. Selected to his 5th Pro Bowl. And how did he do? Well, killed the Bills week 1. Lost to the Jets, who were really good then. That was the Sanchez, Coach Ryan years. Beat the Atlanta Falcons up. Beat the Ravens. Lost a close one to the Broncos. Destroyed the Titans 59-0. Blew away the Buccaneers 35-7. Blew at the Dolphins 27-17. Close win against the Colts. Close loss by 1 point, 35-34. Doubled up the Jets 31-14. Blown up by the Saints, Stoger, great years back then. Miami Dolphins, they lost them by a point. Doubled up to Carolina Panthers. Beat the Bills by a touchdown. Blew up the Jacksonville Jaguars. Lost a close one to the Texans. Beat the Eagles. Lost 7-6 against the Bengals. Those are different days back then, I tell you. And 3-point win over the Commanders. Finished the season off by doing a good number on the Giants. Went to the playoffs. And lost in the wild card 33-14. But went from a torn ACL, torn MCL, to going to the playoffs and comeback player of the year. Now you say he tore his leg in the first week of the season. It was also 2008, and surgeries were archaic compared to now. Back then, nowhere close. So you got it right there. 9-7 Baltimore beat 10-6. They were the 3rd seed and they lost. But that's not the comparison I would make, because you got to come a little bit more recent. And you want to stick with somebody who's better than average. And for me, I told you guys this the other night, if you weren't on the show, you didn't see it, We had four different ACL tears in the same knee. What do we got here? Beach ain't any good with draft free agency. Harsh frog. I had four different ACL tears in the same knee. My first in 79, I ruptured my ACL one of the times, and the PCL, my lower leg, was just hanging there. I had two different ACL cadaver grafts. Whew. That's rough, madman. But you're also talking about 79, and I want to get a lot closer to our date right now. And the way to do that is the guy no one's talking about. The pundits aren't talking about it. I'm surprised that nobody's just dawned on this, but all you have to do is go back to our last worst season finish with Patrick as a starter, which would have been 2022 playoffs, 2021 season. We lost to Joe Burrow and the Bengals in overtime of the AFC Championship. And the Bengals went on to the Super Bowl and lost by 3 to the Rams. But what a lot of people aren't talking about, and they're not talking about this situation for some reason, Joe Burrow, the season before, November 22nd, 2020, tore his ACL, his MCL, and his PCL, and the meniscus. So he blew out this one, he blew out this one, and he blew out this one, which you got to have an extra brace on because it's load bearing and the weight can drag it and stretch it out, and you don't want that. I had one here that talked about the difference between the two things. I might find it in a second, but that's a more difficult one to come back from than the LCL. Again, ACL, MCL, PCL gone, and he damaged the meniscus, this little cushion right here between the tibia and the femur. And how'd Joe come back? Carted off the field, missed the remainder of his rookie season. Thanks for all the love. Can't get rid of me that easy. I think Patrick's feeling a lot of the same. Can't get rid of me that easy. So what did Joe do the next year? First of all, the thing I was mentioning, PCL versus LCL. PCL rehab often involves strict non-weight bearing for 6+ weeks and a special PCL brace to prevent posterior stress, while LCL rehab focuses on bracing for stability, regaining motion and strength, often allowing earlier weight-bearing motion. So what does that mean in layman's terms? Well, Joe Burrow had his surgery December 2nd. Patrick Mahomes had his surgery December 15th, only 3 days apart, despite the fact that Joe's injury was the 22nd of November, because Joe waited, because typically you wait. But when it's an LCL, you want to get it done sooner. So Patrick got it done as soon as he could. And Joe expressed confidence in his recovery in January, February of 2021, aiming to be ready for the season. He returned to throwing to teammates and drills for the first time since post-surgery, showing optimism in May 25th, 2021, and was cleared for full participation in training camp by July 2021. Late August 2021, he was feeling, quote, great and ready for the season opener. And then what happened? Played all 16 games, over 70% completion rating, over 4,600 yards, 108.3 passer rating, his second best of his career, despite being sacked 51 times, the most in his career. Didn't have great O-line protection, sound familiar? And also rushed 180 yards on 40 carries for 2 touchdowns. So he was moving. He did it against us a couple times too, running around. Set a Bengals single game record, 525 passing yards against Baltimore, and had 6 300-yard passing games. So I think he was good to go. This is Joe Burrow, who calls Patrick Mahomes the best in the league. Himself, he's called him that. And Joe Burrow's up in that tier. Joe, Josh, Patrick, they're all up there. As far as injury recovery goes, Patrick Mahomes had a kneecap flipped backwards and upside down and was back 3 games later. I think he's going to be a quick healer. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is there's another guy. Here's the chart. Mr. I lost my basically had almost a full league reconstruction. Fourth seed. Rams were the fourth seed as well, all the way to the Super Bowl, beating us at Arrowhead. Lost by 3. If it wasn't for Aaron Donald, they'd probably win that Super Bowl, the Bengals. But then I found somebody today, and I was like, what is it about Patrick Mahomes? Tony Romo said it more than a couple times. Patrick Mahomes is just different. He's just different. People talking about, Micah Parsons might not come back as quick because of the stress and the pressure that you put on the knee for those movements that edge rushers do. You know who else does a lot of pressure on their legs and weird movements? Running backs. And I thought, wasn't there a running back not that long ago? Well, if you're as old as I am, not that long ago, that had a pretty darn remarkable comeback. And he was different. He was as different to the running back spot as Patrick is to the quarterback spot. And that young man's name was Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson tore his ACL and MCL on December 24th, Christmas Eve, 2011. In the evening, Christmas Eve game. Came back in 2012. Returned for week 1. Rushed for over 2,000 yards. And won the MVP. Tom Brady came back. Went to the playoffs. Got eliminated in the wild card round. Won comeback player of the year. Adrian Peterson narrowly missed comeback player of the year, but won MVP because he had over 2,000 yards. I think Patrick Mahomes could come back and be the first player in the history of the NFL to win comeback player of the year and most valuable player and take the Chiefs back to the Super Bowl. Let's talk about it. When you look at this team, snake bit doesn't even scratch the surface. I was on the show listening to Chiefs Concerns tonight with my boys JD and Marcus over there. Great job, as always, fellas. People in the chat talking about a bunch of stuff. I fired some stuff in there. I mentioned, why is no one talking about the Burrow situation? He came back, blah, 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 with the Super Bowl. And somebody impugned, well, come on, Thunder. Bro, it's T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I get, yeah. And if we have Worthy and Rice from week 1 on, plus let's say Jalen Royals comes along and gets up to speed, do you not think that we're stacked at the wide receiver spot with those top 3? Plus whatever we do in the draft, maybe Thornton comes back. I'm hoping Kelsey comes back. I think he will for one more ride with his boy, because can't go out like that. Just can't do it, Trav. People are just talking way too much smack now. If his body's not up for it, that's different. But I would welcome Travis Kelsey back in a second. I think he'd be more motivated than ever. And I think Patrick Mahomes would return to that quick decision-making, ball out, first available target, touchdown, check down mentality that he had in his 50 touchdown, 5,000-yard first season as our starter. When he didn't know what he didn't know yet about the pros. I think he can put some of that, okay, I know what I know now I didn't know before, but let me just put that aside and have that as my superpower. But going to the game, planning to touchdown, check down like the West Coast calls for, and just get the ball out super fast. Because remember the time for the first couple years of his career, he was the highest rated quarterback against the blitz. But then when you didn't blitz him and you left him in a clean pocket, he was the highest rated unmolested quarterback. If you didn't get after him, he was going to pick you apart anyway. So it was pick your poison. And then, we had some line issues, and then especially the Buccaneers season. I mean, people talk about, we lost our tackles right before the Super Bowl. That's not true. We lost Eric Fisher in the AFC Championship. We lost Mitchell Schwartz in week 6 for the rest of the season. We lost Kelechi Osemele in week 5 for the rest of the season. Our 3 best old linemen right there. Mike Remmers was the only guy that was a starter for most of the season that we still had, and he was playing out of position in the Super Bowl. So Patrick started getting into this situation of like, I can't trust my line, so I've always got to move around. Even before the need to move happened, he would be kind of on his toes. This team has been so snake bit this year. We were on our fifth and sixth offensive tackles in our last game of the season. Wide receivers dealing with injuries. One gets concussed. One's already dinged up and rattled from the week before. One's dealing with a bad shoulder. Chris Jones out of the game. Trent McDuffie didn't start. Bolton in and out of the game. Off the field. We lost by 3, fellas. Ladies and gentlemen, we lost by 3 with all of that going on. So people that are saying batten down the hatches, full rebuild, this team's not the same. Y'all are haters, or you're just oblivious, or you're not smart. Because guess what's going to happen? Now that we have extra time, which we've never had for 8 years, 10 years we've been in the playoffs, 7 years we've been going all the way or close to it, a couple plays away from the Super Bowl. Those 2 years we didn't get there. We got a whole bunch extra time to heal. We get a whole bunch extra time to train, preventative medicine, preventative care, build up the muscles, firm up the joints, and come back with a vengeance next season. And if we got King at left guard, we got Trey at right guard, we got Creed at center, we got Simmons at left tackle, and we got our boy from the 49ers at right tackle, and we got Isapole swinging. That's a great starting 6 right there. And get a couple more guys maybe in the draft, maybe, sign a free agent. I don't know. Some people that legitimately can play whatever's going on. Jalen Moore at the right tackle is an upgrade over Juwan Taylor, I believe. This team was ready to rock and roll. Rashee Rice, keep your nose clean. Don't screw up this offseason, bro, or you'll be gone. You'll be gone. Between 6-game suspension and dropping the ball like crazy this year, focus less on the glittery grill and the shiny teeth and focus more on your job. Straight up. Player to player. Game talking a game. I played for 10 years semi-pro. Stop with the nonsense and do your job. Be great, because you've got the potential to be great. Xavier Worthy, get healthy. We lost Xavier for 4 weeks the first game. Like, that's huge. That's huge losing those 2 guys. Jalen Royals, get up to speed. We need you, buddy. Our tight ends, I don't know what's going on with Gray. Confidence issue, just maybe pressing like everybody else, trying to make something happen. I think Wiley's, got ability. He's got to do it. Or Riley, rather. He's got to do it. We got to see him do it. It is Wiley. Because it's Noah and it's Wiley. I always say Noah Wiley. We got some tight ends, is my point. Defense. Is Trent going to be here next year? Or is he going to be traded? I don't know. Cost over commodity, that's what's going to come to. Are the picks worth more than the cost of sending them away? Or keeping them, rather. Chris Jones is going to take a restructure because he's over 15% of the cap himself next year. There's going to be a lot of things happening in the offseason. I don't know what. I'm not going to predict here. Now, the last couple of weeks, what I saw to Chris, I wish we saw that all year because that was the Chris I know. But I know he's also only getting older. I know he doesn't want to go anywhere. Doesn't sound like he wants to go anywhere. He's ride or die with these guys. And I respect that. People want to get rid of Drew Tranquil. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's been one of our most consistent players. You don't cut the head off the leadership of the team because you have a bad season. Especially when the bad season is you can't get out of your own way with injuries. And then you start pressing, trying to make magic happen. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I get it. But 2 things can be true at the same time. The other thing that was true was that knee was hurt already. Patrick's left knee was already hurting. Was it to do with the earlier kneecap flip over? Overcompensating for that? Who knows? But there was already issues there. He's had ankle problems a couple times. It's wear and tear, man. It happens. So he's going to get a lot more rest. He's going to get a chance to heal up properly. I believe in this squad. I believe in this guy. You got to believe in this team, fellas. But people got to stop looking and reaching for reasons why not. And remember who the hell this guy is, PM15. If you think this dude's sleeping on his history, resting on his laurels, going, I had my time. I did good. I guarantee you he's back in a rookie mindset of, I'm going to show everyone who exactly the heck I am. Was this his Samson year? Did the haircut mess him up? I don't know. Grow the curls back. Let's see. Let's find out. Or was it just that season where it comes around? It comes around to everybody. You all got to take a bite of the shit sandwich once in a while. And this was our year, and it sucked. But there's every evidence that he can come back stronger than ever and go nuts next season. And if he's got Worthy and Ray and Rashee Rice right out of the gate, Rashee, I was going to call him, and Jalen Royal steps up to be what he looks like he could be, good luck. And if we don't forget to run the ball, please, Chiefs, don't abandon the run. Going to be some new faces in town next season. Definitely. Got to shore up some things. Our defense played exceptional this year. One of the lowest points allowed in the league. And people harping at them like they're not as good as they were a couple years ago. Well, you know what? They're a lot better than they were Patrick's first year as a starter. So let's start from there and work backwards. Tighten up the ship. Lock and load. Get the O-line healthy. Get the quarterback healthy, most importantly. Get a couple more weapons in town. And let's ride and see what happens. Because my money's on Kansas City Chiefs. My money's on Patrick Mahomes for shutting everyone up and having everyone gobsmacked next year going, we never should have doubted them. Because you should not do that, and you should know that by now. It is what it is. 7 straight AFC championships. 5 out of 7 Super Bowls. 3 of them won. Not making the playoffs? That's the sand in the face that the little guy on the beach needed to get back up and go, I'm getting back in the gym, and shit's getting real. So enjoy this reprieve, AFC. Enjoy your chance to do something. Maybe win a championship. Maybe not. Maybe the NFC will take you down. We'll see. Do I think the AFC West is going to be more competitive going forward? Absolutely. Can't wait to see who the Raiders draft at quarterback because we're going to have one of the deadliest divisions in football. But Patrick Mahomes is going to come back next year and remind everyone why he's number 1 with a bullet. Mark my words. Write it down. I underestimated him once. I was challenged. I was asked what I thought his ceiling was in his first year as a starter. And underguessed by a couple of touchdowns and about 9 yards rushing. Or 9 yards total offense. Everyone thought it was crazy. Because I was like 48 touchdowns. And I was off yardage by 9 yards. And he went higher than that. So we'll see what we can see. The only way I could see if he gets MVP, him not getting if he wins the MVP and doesn't win comeback player of the year, then that's the league telling everyone, if you win MVP by default, we're not going to give you the comeback player of the year. We're going to give that to somebody else. Because if he comes back from this fall from grace that this team has had, that he's had personally, and gets us to the Super Bowl, does all that stuff, it's supposed to be a regular season award, but you know what I'm talking about. There's no way he should win MVP and comeback player of the year, but we'll see. Maybe he wins MVP and Micah Parsons has 10 sacks and gets comeback player of the year. We'll find out. It's going to be a long season, and we still got to wait weeks before this one's over. Then there's playoffs, which, I don't have to be involved with. So I'll be bringing draft stuff to you guys a lot sooner this year. It'll be fun. Let me know who you guys want to review in the chat. in the message boards. I'll let you know what I think of them. And we'll do some mock drafts together and we'll have a good time. In the meantime, don't ever count out PM15. Until that guy hangs him up, he's always going to be deadly on that field. Till next time, guys. Go Chiefs.